Forgiving a manipulator, when letting go still hurts. Forgiveness is often described as freeing, healing, and necessary for personal peace. Many people are taught that letting go of resentment is the healthiest path forward. But when the person who harmed you is a manipulator, forgiveness becomes far more complex. It isn't just about releasing anger. It's about reconciling with the reality of betrayal, deception, and intentional harm. And even after deciding to forgive, the pain may not simply vanish. This is the paradox. Forgiving a manipulator doesn't always bring relief. Sometimes it still hurts. The illusion of closure. Manipulators thrive on twisting reality, exploiting trust, and leaving their targets questioning their own perceptions. Unlike an honest mistake or a conflict born of miscommunication, manipulation is deliberate. It involves careful planning, charm, or coercion designed to benefit one person at the expense of another. Because of this, the wound it leaves isn't a simple one. It cuts into a person's self-esteem, sense of safety, and ability to trust. Forgiveness, in these cases, doesn't automatically close the wound. Instead, it can feel like putting a bandage on a deep injury that still requires time, care, and boundaries to heal. Why forgiving doesn't erase the hurt. When someone forgives a manipulator, they may expect an immediate sense of peace. But emotional reality often works differently. Several factors explain why. The betrayal runs deep. Manipulation isn't just about what was done, but how it was done. Realizing someone calculated your reactions or used your vulnerabilities feels profoundly violating. Trust is broken. Forgiveness can be given, but trust must be rebuilt. For manipulators, rebuilding trust is often impossible because their behavior patterns are ingrained. The scars remain. Even when you let go of anger, the memory of being controlled or deceived may linger. Emotional triggers can reawaken old pain. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. In fact, with manipulators, reconciliation may be dangerous. The healthiest path is often to forgive internally, but maintain distance. This choice, while protective, can still feel lonely or unfinished. Another layer of difficulty comes from external pressure. Friends, family, or spiritual communities may encourage quick forgiveness as a moral duty. While well-intentioned, this pressure can invalidate the survivor's pain. Forgiving too soon or before fully processing what happened can feel like betraying oneself. True forgiveness is not about excusing the manipulator's actions. It's about choosing not to carry the weight of hatred indefinitely. But this decision can only be authentic when it arises from genuine readiness, not outside expectation. Letting go without forgetting. One of the most brutal truths is that forgiveness does not mean forgetting. In fact, forgetting can leave someone vulnerable to future harm. Survivors of manipulation often learn valuable lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and discernment. Holding on to these lessons isn't bitterness, it's wisdom. You can forgive while still remembering who the person showed themselves to be. You can let go of the emotional grip they have on you while refusing to invite them back into your life. Forgiveness, in this sense, is more about self-liberation than reconciliation. If forgiving doesn't erase the pain, what helps? Allow space for grief. Acknowledge the loss of trust, safety, and innocence. Grieving is part of healing. Set firm boundaries. Protect yourself from further manipulation, even if it means ending contact. Seek validation. Talking with trusted friends, counselors, or support groups can remind you that your pain is real and valid. Redefine forgiveness. See it not as excusing, but as releasing yourself from emotional captivity. Practice self-compassion. Be patient with your own timeline. Healing from manipulation is rarely quick. The courage of forgiving a manipulator. Forgiving a manipulator is not weakness. It is a profound act of strength. It means you have chosen not to let their behavior define your future or poison your spirit. But courage does not mean numbness. You may still feel the sting when memories resurface. That does not mean your forgiveness was in vain. Healing is not a straight line. There will be days when the pain feels fresh again, but each step forward, each moment you refuse to be consumed by bitterness, marks progress. Conclusion. Forgiving a manipulator is one of the most complex challenges anyone can face. Unlike forgiving an honest mistake, it requires grappling with intentional harm and deep betrayal. Letting go may still hurt, but it is not pointless. It is a declaration that while you acknowledge the wound, you refuse to let it control your life. Forgiveness in these circumstances is less about them and more about you, your freedom, your peace, and your decision to rise above the tactics that once sought to diminish you.